पेडागोजी यूज़ करते आए हैं, जिस तरीके से हम लोग बोलते आए हैं, उसमें व्हाट टू थिंक बच्चे को हम बताते हैं ये टॉपिक है, इसके बारे में आप ऐसे सोचिए। जो आपने बता दिया वो अंतिम है, इम्तहान में जो मैं पढ़ा रही हूँ वो आप उसको लिखेंगे, आपको नंबर मिलेंगे। तो आप कर क्या रहे थे क्लासरूम में कि यू आर एक्चुअली टीचिंग देम व्हाट टू थिंक। ये टॉपिक है, इस बारे में ये सोचिए, ये पॉइंट्स हैं, ये फ्रेमवर्क है, इसके अंदर है। द शिफ्ट दैट नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी मेक्स इज हाउ टू थिंक। बच्चे को ये सिखाइए कि वो कैसे सोचे। ये टॉपिक है, इसके बारे में क्या क्या चीजें हो सकती हैं, पूरे फ्रेमवर्क। इसका मतलब क्या है? दैट यू हैव टू कॉन्टेक्चुअलाइज whatever you're teaching in his life, in his environment, and broadening his scope for discovery. तो जब तक आप बच्चे को ये नहीं सिखाएंगे कि तुम कैसे सोचो। अभी बच्चे क्या करते हैं, क्लास में आते हैं, आप बैठे, आप बोलना शुरू करते हैं, बच्चे सुनते हैं, बच्चे चले जाते हैं, और जितनी देर आप बोल रहे हैं आप उनको ये कह रहे हैं व्हाट टू थिंक। इस टॉपिक के बारे में ये आपने उनको क्लास में किसी भी क्रिएटिव या कंस्ट्रक्टिव एक्टिविटी में इंगेज नहीं किया जिससे कि वो हाउ टू थिंक का प्रोसेस समझें, या वो इंगेज नहीं होते। आप अग्री करेंगे, डू यू अग्री कि 90% बच्चे, टीचर्स कंप्लेन करते हैं कि बच्चे इंगेज नहीं। मैं तो बता रहा था, कभी हम लोगों ने ये वी हैव नेवर इंट्रोस्पेक्टेड, या हम लोगों ने कभी इस बारे में ये नहीं सोचा कि वो इंगेज क्यों नहीं हो रहा, हम क्या कर रहे हैं। तो ये पॉलिसी ये कह रही है कि हर शिक्षक को ये प्रयास करना है कि वो आपके क्लास का एक एक बच्चा हाउ टू थिंक सीखे। आपको हाउ टू थिंक सिखाना है, बिकॉज वही शिफ्ट है पॉलिसी। दैट इज द फर्स्ट पॉइंट ही मेड। एंड ही सेड कि नेट पे इतना अवेलेबल है, किताबें इतनी अवेलेबल हैं, ऑनलाइन एक्सेस है, जर्नल्स मिलती हैं, सब चीज़ें मिलती हैं, कि आपको उसको क्लास में जो आप पढ़ा रहे हैं वो इरेलेवेंट है, इसलिए वो ध्यान नहीं देता। वो तो उसको ऑनलाइन में मिल जाएगा, शायद विकीपीडिया करे या गूगल में कोई और साइट पर जाए तो मटेरियल मिल जाएगा। टीचर ने भी क्लास में वही पढ़ाया, वहाँ भी वही है। तो जब दोनों चीज़ें देखनी है तो उसको ही कट्स एंड शट्स हिज माइंड आउट कि नहीं करते हैं, सुन लेंगे, वहाँ पढ़ लेंगे। बहुत से बच्चे सोचते हैं कि हम लोग उसको बाद में दें। Process में आप to think, he lets his mind go, and then later he will never go back to that. तो वो जो 40 minutes टाइम आपको मिला है उसमें you have not been able to engage him in a manner कि वो सोचने की प्रक्रिया उसकी ट्रिगर ऑफ है। You have to trigger off उसकी सोचने की प्रक्रिया। तो आप लोगों को इस बारे में चिंतन करना ही होगा। You have to think कि आप हाउ टू थिंक क्लास में कैसे इम्प्लीमेंट करेंगे। दैट्स योर नंबर वन गोल, टीचिंग योर स्टूडेंट हाउ टू थिंक अबाउट योर सब्जेक्ट, अबाउट द टॉपिक ऑफ द डे, अबाउट द न्यूएंसेस ऑफ योर डिसिप्लिन एंड इट्स एप्लीकेबिलिटी टू हिज लाइफ, टू सोसाइटी, टू द कंट्री, नेशन, वर्ल्ड, व्हाटएवर, टू द एनवायरनमेंट इन विच ही लिव्स। आप कहते हैं ग्लोबल विलेज है, क्या आप जेन्युइनली अपने बच्चों को क्लास में ग्लोबल विलेज के लिए तैयार कर रहे हैं? ये प्रश्न अपने से पूछिए। आप ग्लोबल विलेज, एक बच्चा आ रहा है एक मुफस्सिल टर्म से, उसको आप ग्लोबल विलेज का कॉन्सेप्ट में कैसे इंटीग्रेट कर रहे हैं? आर यू टीचिंग हिम? तो हर टीचर अगर अपने सब्जेक्ट के बारे में बच्चों को कनेक्ट करने का प्रयास करेगा, then things will work. Then the child will begin to think. And I believe कि when we were younger, somewhere in the process ये खत्म हो गया, so NEPs को वापस ला रहा है। हम लोग छोटे थे तो मुझे याद है कि हम लोग के ज्योग्राफी के क्लासेस में हम लोगों को जो पढ़ाया जाता था, मैं जब अमेरिका गई तो मुझे ये याद था कि ये प्रेरीज हैं।
Yes.
These are the American prairies. And this was taught in class 6, 7, 8.
Absolutely.
And someone said, oh, you know, वहाँ पे बॉस्टन की तरफ ये बहुत होता है, और वहाँ बहुत होता है, और शिकागो में ये होता है। हमने कहा यहाँ मीट इंडस्ट्री ज़्यादा होगी, prairies में there used to be buffaloes.
Yes.
So the main industry, look at the linkage. तब किसी टीचर ने बोला होगा ना मुझे क्लास में एक छोटी सी बात कि ये जियोग्राफिकल स्पेसेस हैं और अमेरिका में क्योंकि प्रेरीज थी वहाँ बफलोज की ग्रेजिंग की सुविधा थी तो बफलो मीट का यूज वहाँ होता था, इसलिए वहाँ पे इंडस्ट्री स्टिल नहीं. Very small point made in a class which was benefiting me when I was in. And so everyone in the group, in that group of teachers who had gone, and we were in a bus, we were traveling through it, and like, oh, this is part of the prairies. And I quite enjoyed it, you know, to see that poem, actually getting to see the prairies at this age, and that this is what must have happened. And some of the teachers said, great general knowledge, Nishi. So I said, great education.
Yes.
There was a teacher who said this to me, it's not my knowledge which has come out of nowhere. It was a teacher in the class who is contextualizing what she's teaching in a more global way.
Yes. Linking.
Linking it to, you know, prairies, this is how life used to be. There were buffaloes. When the settlers came, Native Americans वहाँ रहते थे. उनको हटा के जैसे जैसे settlers ने colonies बनाई, the buffaloes meat was used. ये बहुत छोटी सी बात है, आप आधे मिनट में ये बात बच्चे के दिमाग में डाल सकते हैं और वो रह सकते. Geography was not my main subject, but a lot of things have remained because geography is important because, you know, there is geographies का multiple levels पे. क्या are you teaching them about personal geographical spaces? We talk of the home as a geography. So this, I'm taking geography as an example for you to understand कि बच्चे के लिए contextualize कैसे करें. आप एक कविता पढ़ा रहे हैं क्लास में, डैफोडिल्स हम अक्सर कहते हैं. डैफोडिल्स बच्चे ने देखा नहीं, थोड़ा फूल दिखा दीजिए, कहिए कि इंग्लैंड जाओगे कभी घूमने, बच्चे भी खुश रहते हैं. हम जाएंगे, जाओगे क्यों नहीं जाओगे, एक दिन जाओगे तो यू विल हैव एन अपॉर्चुनिटी, ज़रूर जाओगे. सी ऐसे फूल लगता है और एक पिक्चर दिखा दीजिए, कार्ड पोस्ट कार्ड भी. आई रिमेंबर सीइंग पोस्ट कार्ड कि दे वर सर्कुलेटेड कि दिस इज हाउ द माउंटेन्स लुक एंड दिस इज हाउ द डैफोडिल्स वर. व्हाट आर यू डूइंग? यू आर टीचिंग योर स्टूडेंट टू थिंक बियॉन्ड जस्ट I saw them tossing their heads in a cloud or whatever. जो उसकी लाइन. तो contextualize करते जाना, visualize करना, वो जो effort है, अब teachers we don't make it. We just get up, pick up the book, go there and start. How much preparation does a teacher put into? How will I use this class to get my student to think? वो element you have to put in, that is a must. The role of the teacher, and the point he made was there will be reduction in syllabus and books, which is actually being done. You're staggering it into a system of when we made these it's not a yearly exam and annual नहीं है, semester system. Semester system का मतलब ही है you stagger the syllabus and then it has been indicated in the national policy. The four things are that the teachers have to use processes. The colleges and universities have to provide for greater interest and participation of students through four things. Please write it down or remember it forever. The teaching should become inquiry based. The teaching should become discovery based. The teaching should become discussion based. The child has to read and come to class. आपको लगता है बच्चे भाग जाएंगे? बच्चे नहीं भागेंगे. आप क्लास में पनिश करने लगी और ये सब करने लगी तब तो भाग जाएंगे. Because देखिए, टीचर जो एसेंशियल रीडिंग लिस्ट है उसके कॉन्टेक्स्ट में बात करता है. जो मीडियोकर तक के भी बच्चे हैं, दे मेक इट अ पॉइंट कि लाइक शी इज रेफरिंग टू दैट, शी इज रेफरिंग टू दैट, दे गो बैक एंड रीड और दे विल रीड एंड कम. सो व्हेन यू बिगिन द क्लास, जो एसेंशियल रीडिंग है उसके जो सेलिएंट पॉइंट्स हैं वो आप बता दीजिए. यू आर आस्क्ड टू रीड दिस, I hope you have noted down these major points. So what you've done is, if they've not done it, you focus them on it. Learn to make handouts so that you can give them a handout. एक हैंडआउट क्या आप बनाइए, आप तो व्हाट्सएप कर दीजिए ग्रुप में, फोटोकॉपी करा के बच्चों को दे दीजिए. हैंडआउट बहुत बड़े नहीं होंगे, इंटरेस्टिंगली मेड होते हैं हैंडआउट. मैं जब हैमलेट पढ़ाती थी और कुछ पढ़ाती थी, ये सब बच्चे पढ़े हैं उसमें, शायद I used to always make this little handout की, you know, this one is related. आप पढ़ा रहे हैं हैमलेट, 10-15 कैरेक्टर्स हैं, बच्चों को इंटरेस्ट नहीं, नाम उनको इंटरेस्ट नहीं करता. एक हैंडआउट मिलता है उसमें, दिस इज द मेन कैरेक्टर, ये इसकी मदर है, ये इसका फादर है, ये इसका रिलेशन है, ये इसका वो है. तो कोई बना के नहीं देता. इतना सिंपल सा प्रोसेस है, करके दे दीजिए बच्चों को. वो सामने रखा रहता हाथ में या ऊपर अपने बोर्ड पे बना देना. तो वो वहाँ पे जो ये जो हम लोग सिस्टम है कि हम लोग बिल्कुल ही सोचते नहीं कि इसको हम लोग कैसे. मैं अरिस्टोटल पढ़ाती हूँ और उसकी पोएटिक्स हम आपको एक पढ़ने में 15 मिनट में पढ़ा सकते हैं. 15 मिनट में मैं अरिस्टोटल की पूरी पोएटिक्स एक पढ़ने में लिख कर डिज़ाइन करके पढ़ा दूँगी. नाउ दैट इज़ द स्किल टीचर पास. मैं तो नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में नहीं थी, पर मैं सोचती थी कि मैं जब पढ़ती थी, what was it that helped me to study, that if I could put it into these small structures, then you can expand. But for that, the teacher has to make that effort to make that little handout. Right? So if you want your children to start on the process of discovery, that suggested reading list and a little plan has to be given so that they read and come. When they read and come, they are in the process of inquiry. आप उसमें अब तो आपके लिए संभव है, आप गूगल दे दीजिए, आप लिंक्स दे दीजिए, आप उनको बता दीजिए कि यहाँ जाके आपको मिल सकता है, बुक अवेलेबल है तो यहाँ है. लाइब्रेरी में कौन सी बुक्स है क्या आपको पता है? एज टीचर्स डू यू नो व्हाट इज देयर इन द लाइब्रेरी? यू नीड टू नो क्या क्या कौन सी किताबें लाइब्रेरी में, विच बुक्स वुड यू लाइक टू रेफर टू योर स्टूडेंट्स.
नंबर और पेज नंबर तक दे देते हैं.
That's good. If you're doing it, that's a great thing to do.
Yes.
You must do it because that is a process that needs to be followed. They can use the library, or they can tell them that if you use it on computer, you don't want to use a computer, use it on the phone. Access it through Google. You can go to these sites. These are the better sites. So when you get a syllabus, you need to begin to think how you're going to use the syllabus to help the students make relevant inquiries in that particular subject. Right? You need not have the whole syllabus divided. In some, give them a process for pre-reading or whatever. Now, once they have done that, then they come into a class. When they come into the class with their suggested reading in place, then begins your job. Now, how do you transform that process of inquiry into a process of discovery so that they discover new things? So, by giving additional material, by engaging them in some kind of an activity, it should become an activity-based pedagogy where they are doing something, where they will have to talk to one another, or they will talk to the teacher, or something is happening in the class which is helping them discover new things. Because as a teacher, you know कि आपने जो किताब प्रिस्क्राइब की है या जो रीडिंग प्रिस्क्राइब की है, उसके बियॉन्ड कहाँ ले जाना है? Where will you take them beyond that? That is what you need to think. And that becomes very, very important. So the whole idea of making them discover through activity is something that you should be focusing on. It's extremely important and you should focus on that. Then comes this process of discussion. Now, so you've started off some activity. Let that be an activity in which there can be discussions among students, the teacher. आप अपने डिसिप्लिन किसी एक टॉपिक पे you can bring an interdisciplinary perspective. For example, when I was teaching literature, I would often invite my friend who was a professor of philosophy to come in and give in an input into American philosophy or some kind of Indian thought. Bring them in. Do collaborative teaching. Your children also do not get bored of you all the time. You can do something interesting. Call a friend who's studying and teaching somewhere else and say, come over, let's just do this together. You can do that. I would often call my friends and say, just come on, let's do this together. would you like to do this?
मैम हमने आपको भी बुलाया है
last 10 years.
2012 में आप स्पेशली brought in आपको लाए थे उसमें
Yes.
लेक्चर में और interdisciplinary where we had invited
Yes.
Department
So
of Geography,
I'm
Department
glad
of Economics and
that- I'm
Department of
glad that-
History.
Dr.
Yeah.
Kaustubh gave lecture on geography and literature. She gave on like
Yes, so
geopolitics.
that's a wonderful thing to do.
So, and
Now the point is,
yes.
you said, you used the word, she gave a lecture.
It was an interactive thing.
That's something. So say, she's conducted an interaction.
Yes.
Stop saying it was a lecture.
No.
Change your...
It was a
Mindset.
presentation. It was a presentation.
No interactive
It needs an
session.
attitudinal
Talk
change.
means one person is talking. Session means interactive session.
Session,
We hold,
session,
we
absolutely.
hold a collaborative interactive sessions
Sessions.
with different experts. Do that. Sometimes if you need somebody else, bring them in. So the discussion can be in a group. And then after that comes the final point, analysis. So they have a discussion. Who does the analysis? Who aids the analysis? The teacher does. Students keep analyzing out of discussions and the teacher does. Now let me give you one. See, what I'm doing here is I'm giving you in the nutshell, because we have just 45 minutes time. I'm giving you in a nutshell what the policy talks about. Policy talks about these four things. A shift in pedagogy, getting your children to know what to think, how to think, not what to think. Let me give you a very small example. We have very large classes in the university. And then everybody would take, when you have to do the examination, normally people say, all right, we'll give you 4 questions, you write it, we'll go by. That doesn't serve the purpose. So I came up with this big idea that what I used to do was there was a topic. Supposing आपका exam है semester का, and exam कैसे लेते? I would just give a topic. I would say, all right, so this is what we have studied. These are the 5 questions which could possibly come. Tell them the question in advance. Let them read, discover, do what they want. This is an examination. You will know how to do it. So innovative ways of assessment is something that you need to think about. So I would just give it in class, the topics. If this is there, I'm giving them 2 weeks to prepare. You will be asked only these things. Okay? Now comes the exam day. 110, 14 students. I would come prepared, dividing them into groups. So I would divide them into 5 groups or 6 groups, depending on how many they were. And random division. Ensuring friends don't sit together. Randomly divide. Once we randomly divided, I'd make those 6, 7 chips. And then make them sit in groups in the class. Group A, Group B, C, D, sit together. One person come and pick up a chip. So whatever topic comes to you, that's your topic for discussion. Right? Then I give them time, half an hour time to go aside. Have one person as a group leader, have one person as a rapporteur. Tell them that each one of you is supposed to speak. Ensure that each one speaks and gives the ideas on this topic, whatever they have. Whatever ideas they have, whatever their learning is, each person should speak and document it so the rapporteur would be writing the points on that particular topic, right? So I would allow half an hour, then we'd go around and see that they were actually doing it, and that everybody is speaking, you're not speaking, or sometimes you can drop in and say, all right, you do this, you do that. It's a supervised activity. Once it's over, after half an hour, giving them 30 minutes. Come back. Make everyone sit. One person from each group will make a presentation. Right?
आपने MA में हमें suggest करा हम यही pattern follow
Yes,
करते हैं.
good. Because I think it's a fantastic way of handling large classes. When we suggest innovative teaching, everyone says, oh, the classes are so large, how will we do it? You can do it. I'm giving you an example. And I've done it even before the NEP came.
Yes, we have been doing this.
We've been doing it even before NEP came. Because we are concerned about how do we engage them. Think about an innovative way of engaging them. So then what we do is each person presents. Now what happens is when the person presents, I would give marks to that group. So all people in the group would get that many marks, right? And then all students, the entire class is listening. So that question or that issue, everybody gets that material. Now they've written it out. I would photocopy it and circulate it to everyone. Any student wanting this can take it from me. Most kids would. They wanted it photocopied, so everybody had 6 or 7 topics completely prepared because, and why the children are speaking? The teacher listens. And the teacher makes sure that if something has got missed out, you make those additional points, allowing them to speak. And before making my additional points, I would ask the rest of the class,
Yes.
anybody's got any more ideas? If they had ideas and they were adding effectively, I'd take them in now. They would get those extra little half points. So you're evaluating your student, you're allowing your student to discover, you're allowing your student to discuss. You're also including an analytical process. This is only one example that I'm giving. Let me give you another example. I was just talking in the managing committee meeting that this whole idea of educational tours has been done away with. We take students for educational tours, and geography takes anthropology. What happened to the rest of us? Why can you not take an educational trip? Why can you not arrange it? और हम जब educational trip पे जाते हैं, do we work with the students? You have to academically work with them before you go. क्यों ले जा रहे हैं आप वहाँ? क्या देखना है उनको? क्या समझना है उनको? क्या रीड करके जाना है उनको? क्या background preparation करनी है? That is extremely important. That is the most important. And then when you take them, you don't leave them alone. It's a guided thing. Much as they enjoy nature and they will enjoy a place and uski, then blend other things. Uska cultural context. आप ले गई नैनीताल तो you can, the teachers should be able to inform them. Before you take them to Nainital, get other teachers to speak about. Somebody should tell them कि नैनीताल के literary writers कौन से हुए, नैनीताल में कुछ क्या हुआ, कुछ cultural input दिलाइए. पढ़ें बच्चे तो जाएं सीखें. और जब वो सीख लेंगे, I'm finished with that. So जब बच्चे जाएंगे, तो it's not just geographical tour, it's also cultural tour, it's a cultural immersion. क्या आपके बच्चों का जब आप educational tours ले जाते हैं, becomes a great point of them to inquire, to discover, to discuss amongst one another, to enjoy the place in a different way. Are we ensuring that, or while we are taking them to Nainital, do you have discussions with them along the way on interesting things? When you're there, do you as a teacher engage and point things out? If you point things out, then are you ensuring that they carefully listen? Then when you bring them back, there's a debrief. What did we see? Do you do debriefing? You have to document this. This methodology has to be documented. Okay, before we took the students, we had this many sessions of preparation. Then what did we do then? How did we do it? What pedagogy was used? And then when you debrief, it should be done in every subject. We were young kids, and I remember that we went, the history classes always took us to the, we would be told we are going on a picnic. So we were taken to the residency. And before we were taken to the residency, we were given a, in the class, the teacher would definitely spend one period telling us what it was about, what it was, it was called the mutiny then. Why it happened, how it happened, when you go there, when you go to the residency, you see this. So when we went, we didn't go and just start picnicking immediately. Of course, we had our food packets and a lot of chatai in the middle. There we sit in groups, kahan baithenge, bachche khush ho jate hain. But they took us to the museum, they took us to the sites, they showed it to us. First 40 minutes was meant to be studying, then 3 hours of having fun. Then we could have Antakshari with them or play something or do something. Still the teachers were doing. History teachers didn't go alone. When we went on picnics, all the teachers went on, many teachers went, a lot of people went, and so a lot was going on. You were engaging with lots of teachers. So today if I ask you, do the girls of our girls degree college, have they been to all their, have they seen Lucknow completely? No. Can our girls degree college? Not. No, my point is, I was saying this in front of the management committee, can we not have a system that when they come in the first year, there should be a compulsory historical tour of the city, a historical and cultural tour of the city, which is mandatory for everyone. Take them everywhere, show them everything, show them the new, also show them what Mayavati has built, also show them what other people have built, show them the parks, the gardens, the lawns, Tell them about the population, tell them about the history, tell them about the culture of the city. So government provides buses. My point is, how do teachers take the initiative in forcing their students to think? It is not just in the how to think, take them out. Every time you think that students are not listening, but in these activities also they're very excited and they want to go. I found that when I was conducting the training programs of the teachers, the trip was by far something that they enjoyed the most. As to allow a one-day trip. And everybody used to go and enjoy it. So, the focus has to be on using these four things. The second thing that he said was the futuristic technology would have to be used, and you have to get used to futuristic technology. Teachers can't say, I can't. आपको blended learning होगी, online education होगा, online education के लिए आपको you will have to prepare materials for your students. Many teachers do it that they themselves prepare PowerPoints or they prepare online material and it is accessible. That way university did this. You put it on the website, students can access it from the website. How many of us are endeavoring to put in online material for our students?
We are doing it since 2010.
Good. If you're doing it, well and good. One department may be doing it. Everybody should do it.
Yes, we have that.
Good. If you're doing it, that's one thing that has been conceived here, that you should have online material. You must learn to prepare it for an international lot of students on your subject. Just publication of research papers will not do. A lot of weightage is now going to be put on your creation of online material. So you really need to be doing that and working with that, and virtual labs will be coming in. Students from the villages will begin to study. Every level of material will have to be created and teachers will have to participate. Another important thing that is going to happen is the creation of the National Research Foundation, for which money has already been given. Teachers will actively have to engage in research themselves. You don't know perhaps, UGC has just 3 days back launched a very ambitious project for funding research. And I'm happy to announce that there is space for teachers like us who have just recently superannuated.
Yes.
We will be paid 50,000 rupees a month for a research project and 50,000 of contingency. We can work for 3 years on any major research project that they want to do. So they are wanting to utilize the expertise of those who have retired and gone. There is
Sadly, none of us are eligible for
you are
that.
not eligible, eventually you will be.
They have a startup grant for which you need to be less than 2 years of your appointment. And then they have one for senior faculty wherein they need to have guided 5 PhD
Now,
dissertations.
the point is, you may not be eligible today, but tomorrow you may be eligible. There are these possibilities open up for those who already are. At Awadh Girls Degree College, you may not be, but across the country there will be. The policy is for everybody. We have to see what it is that we can get. There is something for new appointees. आप नए अपॉइंट हुए हैं तो आपके शोध के लिए पैसा है. आपकी यूनिवर्सिटी को कहा जा रहा है कि आप कर सकते हैं. Our management committee can think कि हम आपको एक सीड मनी देते हैं. आप रिसर्च करिए. आप नए अपॉइंट हुए हैं, हम आपको सीड मनी देते हैं. आप रिसर्च करिए, produce a paper, produce something, something constructive out of it.
Want to change, inshallah we will senior faculty के लिए भी अगर
We will have to think about it. But what I'm saying is
that
that
we can make a presentation if we
No.
find it worthy enough for any kind
we
of
can do,
support. then
देखो,
it can be
what
done.
we can do at a small college like ours is a small thing.
Ma'am, it's more than the money, it's the endorsement that matters.
I agree with you, sir. I agree with you, sir. The point is that we can manage this much and no more.
The rest we can put.
No, people can put it. If you're talking about the institution, because it's been, you see what happens, you can do all kinds of things. The point I'm making is because you said 24 is my deadline, that
The exam, next exam.
next exam is about
You can do it. Begins at 3.
so you begin working at 12 o'clock for it.
No.
I'm not saying that you're asking me the time, so I'm
So the point is, so I'm rushing through this because I really think that, what happens is कि पैसा सब कुछ नहीं होता.
Yeah, absolutely.
This management committee has given you money for publication for the past 8 years ever since I came. How many publications have come out? Question mark left. No discussion on that because we have been right there. Right? So, what you are required to understand is that there can be multiple schemes and there are coming, so don't say there aren't. National Research Foundation, What is it that they are going to give you money for? For things of regional interest and national interest. They have to be India-centric and region-centric. You want to do a major research on an American author, you may not get. But if you're focused on a comparative study or on issues which are world interesting, if you're talking of world economies and you're doing a comparative, if you're doing something on a small economy, in your Lucknow little economy of say the fishermen or the washermen, how does the economy work? What functions? Smaller studies will get funded. If you're talking on MSMEs working in your area, how many are there? They are not there. We've got one region, one product
Yes,
concept,
yes.
ODOP, one district, one product. You could work on that. So look at issues that are relevant to your region. आपके सब्जेक्ट में क्या चीज आपके साहित्य वाले लोग जो हैं अंग्रेजी के वो ट्रांसलेशन देखें, हिंदी वाले डिपार्टमेंट्स के से मिलकर एक कोई ट्रांसलेशन के कोर्सेज डेवलप करें, आपके बच्चों के लिए रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट जनरेट करें, कुछ टेक्स्ट लीजिए हिंदी से इंग्लिश, इंग्लिश से हिंदी, एक ट्रेनिंग दीजिए बच्चों को. Lots of things you can do. So there are multiple things. Areas of research are opening up. The National Research Foundation will be funding people, and we need to look at that very carefully.
Ma'am, just I would like to add a footnote. In our MA this year's batch, there were 4 students who translated from Urdu to English, from Punjabi to English. And they've done good work.
No, so if they're doing, and also I would say, अगर आपके बच्चे ये काम कर रहे हैं, आप, because that documentation will help in your assessment and accreditation, and it cannot be done in one day.
मैम इन 2012 जब तक कि इन वर्चुअल क्लासरूम्स का कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं आया था तब फेसबुक लॉन्च हुआ था, चल रहा था, मतलब पॉपुलर हुआ था. और उस वक्त मैंने जो है उसमें फेसबुक के जो ग्रुप्स होते हैं उसमें जो एक फैसिलिटी अवेलेबल थी उसको एज वर्चुअल क्लासरूम्स यूज़ किया था. तो कैन इट बी काउंटेड एज, वो डॉक्यूमेंटेड भी है, उसके आज भी वो एग्जिस्ट करते हैं, उसमें कंटेंट भी है, उसका हाइपरलिंक भी अवेलेबल है.
Perfect, that's all right. But वो API में add होगा कि this is what you want to ask me. This is something that will be a decision which will be taken at the level of the administration. So far it is not.
मतलब ये
अभी accepted नहीं है तो हम लोग उसको नहीं मान सकते.
नहीं
But
मतलब
eventually,
मैं आपसे ये जानना चाह रही
eventually
थी
it may
कि वो
come.
इनोवेटिव पेडागोजी में आएगा कि नहीं आएगा.
बिल्कुल आएगा.
बस.
इनोवेटिव पेडागोजी में आएगा, उसको आप डॉक्यूमेंट करके
मैम
रखिए.
वो डॉक्यूमेंटेड है, रजिस्टर में लिंक है,
you must-
मैगजीन
you
में
must do it.
पब्लिश्ड है, हाइपरलिंक
You
सेव्ड
must do
है,
it.
सब.
And I'll let me, now that there's very little time.
Ma'am, actually make it clear whether we are going to give API for that or not.
No, API can't come.
We can
This is
discuss
what
this
ma'am-
यही तो हम-
No, my point is discuss this
Ma'am,
later.
can we discuss that
I'm not
later?
finished
Yes,
my lecture, by the way.
Yes, please.
I'm still with my lecture. Let me just finish it. Let me make my points. Because I chose to use this framework and to keep it expanding. The second thing that he says is innovation and adaptation. All teachers have to innovate and adopt values that have to be promoted in society. And you have to be innovative and adaptive in your teaching process. When you are talking about the role of the teacher has to become more innovative pedagogies and adaptive pedagogies, which are value-based, very, very value-based. You have to ensure that you base your teachings with values. What are the human values, or what are the values that you would associate with what you're teaching now? Because in every topic that you choose, there will be a human content of human interest and relevance. Are you pointing that out to your class? You must be. So, he will talk here then of linking education with national values. We have to understand what national values are. Every single teacher has to understand what national values are. How do you link your subject with national values? You're doing the NCC, you know how to do it. You know, what kind of in sports and other things. How do you bring out this sense of, I'm an Indian, I'm proud to be an Indian. How do you take off the yoke of remaining slaves to them, or remaining, or
Colonized.
yeah, sorry, the word is colonized. How long are we going to carry on the intellectual colonization that has happened? How long are we going to remain colonized by multiple things? You need to shed this yoke of the colonization. You have to decolonize. I'm simplifying it for many people. Understand that? I understand the word The process of simplifying it is what can become difficult, but everybody needs to understand. So, promoting the curiosity and imagination of your student is a given for every teacher. You have to be promoting this. The national policy specifically says promote curiosity and imagination. If you use the 4 processes I said in the beginning,
Yes.
these will automatically emerge. The students become more curious and more imaginative if you are going to another. Another thing that you need to develop in the youth as teachers is to develop critical thinking. Critical thinking and to be innovative. You have to tell them to be more critical. How do they become more critical thinkers? First, teachers need to understand how critical thinking can be increased in their own subject. How do students learn to critique things? How do they look at it and give multiple, look at it at multiple points of entry? जो भी आप टॉपिक दे रहे हैं, उस टॉपिक में कितने दिशाओं से वो आ सकते हैं, वो दिशाएं क्या होंगी, और उन दिशाओं पर आप कैसे उनको गाइड करेंगे, ताकि वो क्रिटिकली उस बात को एनालाइज कर सके. एक पॉइंट्स ऑफ एंट्री हो सकती है, वो मल्टीपल पॉइंट्स ऑफ एंट्री उस टॉपिक की कैसे पहुंचे, कैसे सोचें, अपने दिमाग में कैसे मैप करें कि ये मल्टीपल प्रोसेसेस हैं, हमको ये प्रोसेस ठीक लगता है और क्यों लगता है, और हम इस प्रोसेस से ही इसको करें. That's an important thing and that you need to promote. Then he comes finally to saying something really big. He says कि implementation में अगर कोई if there's going to be anything that's going to stop implementation, it will be unprepared teachers. And teachers have to be, they are very, very important, because implementation has to be done through the teachers. Teachers have been given a very important place in the policy. Teacher education, restoring the integrity of teacher education, moving teacher education into a multidisciplinary system in colleges and universities. Having a faculty for teacher education, how to take up professional education, everything is there in the policy. You just go back today and just click and see what is relevant to do, what they want the teachers to do. I'm looking at a very big one. The revised version is a very thin one. You can have a copy.
It's about 60 pages.
Take it, have a copy made and kept in the library if you want to read it, otherwise update it relevant. Do spend time looking at the policy to see anything that you could have possibly imagined is there and will prove true. Now, he quoted Abdul Kalam and said that enlightened human beings can only be created by teachers. It is the teacher who creates the enlightened human being. Knowledge तो कहीं भी मिलता है, अब तो online available. Is your student becoming an enlightened student? Is your student understanding that spiritual growth is as important as studying economics? And that when you're doing economics, there is something known as integrity. It's not about only making money, making good money, making money that's honest money.
Ethics also.
Ethics are so important. Everybody has to be told that everything is, lace it with ethics. That's what's being said, because then only can you have an enlightened person. Your students should not go out and have the wrong kind of values. And those values will only come when you lead by example.
Yes, absolutely.
Every teacher has to lead by example. Every teacher is important and every teacher has to lead by. You have to have personal integrity. Students keep watching you. Your personal integrity is very important. And your students emulate you, don't think that they are.
And they're critical as well.
They're very critical. Even if you don't worry about the criticism, be worried that they are going to follow you and become like you. So be careful. And then the PM adds to this and says that he wants to focus on the hiring somewhere at 62, in some states at 58.
Yes.
They still have a lot of productive time left. Let's give them a scheme to do more research, to do something more, to do a project, to be able to contribute to the knowledge pool of the nation. तो रिटायर्ड टीचर्स के लिए भी कुछ सोचा, नए नए बच्चे जो हैं, जो नए टीचर्स जितने तुम लोग आए हो, सोच के देखो, जाओ यूजीसी पे, देखो कॉपी पे, कोई प्रोजेक्ट है अपने सब्जेक्ट में जो ले सकते हो, जिस पर काम कर सकते हो, और लोगों के संग मिलकर काम कर सकते हो, think about that. And the PM has put it so beautifully. As I am concluding, I'd like to say it, and it remains with me. that when a teacher learns, a nation leads. It's only when you have a teacher who's constantly learning, when a teacher learns, a nation leads. जब शिक्षक पढ़ता है तो सीखता है, तभी देश और देशों से आगे बढ़ता है। अगर शिक्षक पढ़ेगा नहीं और सीखेगा नहीं, क्योंकि उसी को पढ़ाना है, सिखाना है और बनाना है। एंड व्हाट इज इट फाइनली, बहुत सुंदरता से उन्होंने कहा है कि जो बच्चे हैं के निकले, दे शुड बिकम ग्लोबल सिटीजन्स। किस तरह के बच्चे निकलने चाहिए, आप किस तरह के बच्चों को करें? उन्होंने बहुत सुंदर से कहा। उन्होंने कहा जड़ से लेकर जग तक, मनुज से लेकर मानवीयता तक, अतीत से लेकर आधुनिकता तक। क्योंकि नेशनल पॉलिसी ऑफ एजुकेशन जो है यही रिफ्लेक्ट करती है that the student must be immersed from the roots to the world, from the man to humanity, from the past to modernity. How beautifully said. This is the kind of student you need to make, and this is all I want to say to you. That is the role of the teacher. That is what the teacher has to do. That's what you're supposed to do. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I took 10 minutes.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an enlightening session. Now I request Ma'am Chaturvedi